In this video, we're going to learn how to add mixed numbers. Well, there are actually two ways. One way is to convert each mixed number to an improper fraction and then add them following addition rules for fractions. And another way is to keep them as mixed numbers, and that's the approach I'm going to take. We know how to add fractions, regular fractions, so I'm going to show how to add them as mixed numbers without changing them to improper fractions. So convenient way for adding mixed numbers is to line them up vertically. So I'll take 8 and 2 over 5, and then I'll add down below 9 and 1 over 5, like that. So first of all, I have to note here that when I look at those two numbers, I can see that the fractions within them have same denominators. And we know that if denominators are the same, things are much easier, right? So we're going to practice right now using the easier example. So once you align mixed numbers vertically, then what you have to do, you'll have to add fractions and you have to add whole parts. Well, if I add those two fractions, 2 over 5 plus 1 over 5, I'm going to get 3 over 5. Right? When we add fractions, we keep the denominator and we just add the numerators. And then when I add 8 and 9, I will get 17. And that will be the answer. So how do I know that I'm looking at the final answer and nothing else has to be done? First of all, I always need to confirm that I'm looking at the proper fraction here. 3 over 5 is a proper fraction, so that's good. And then second, I want to make sure that it's in simplest form. In other words, it cannot be reduced any further. And that's the case. So 17 and 3/5 will be the answer. I think that was not too hard, right? Let's try it again for the next example. Again, I will align mixed numbers vertically, so 6 and 7/8 plus 8 and 3/8. Okay, I'm adding fractions. 7 over 8 plus 3 over 8, that gives me 10 over 8. And then 6 plus 8, that's 14. Now as I check if that's the final answer, what I can notice here, I can notice two things that's not quite right for the final answer. First of all, this is improper fraction, and I have to fix that, right? 10 is more than 8, so numerator is greater than denominator, improper fraction. I have to fix that. And also I can see that it can be reduced, right? 10 over 8 can be reduced. So that means that we have two things to do. We need to change this to a proper fraction and simplify. It doesn't matter in which order we're going to perform that. I think I'm going to start with simplifying it. So 10 over 8 can be simplified if I divide both by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So that gives me 14 and 5 over 4, right? Okay, well, that is improper fraction one more time. So now we're going to take care of that. Improper fraction. So let's change that to a proper fraction. This is how I'm going to think about it. So first I'm going to separate 14 and 5 over 4. We already talked about how it's the same as 14 plus 5 over 4, right? Okay, so once I separate them, next I will convert that improper fraction to a mixed number. So I'm rewriting 14, I'm not doing anything with it so far, plus, and then 5 over 4. What mixed number is that? If I divide 5 by 4, I'll get 1, and the remainder will be also 1, right? So 1 and 1/4. So that is 5/4. And the last step will be to combine them back together. So you can probably already see that in this case, well, the whole numbers can be combined. 14 and 1 will give us 15, and then we also have 1/4. So the final answer is 15 and 1/4. I'll make note here that this must be a proper fraction. or I guess I should say in simplest form. So it should be reduced. Okay, that's the answer. And then our last example is over here. We have to add those two fractions, but now as I look at them, I see that the fractions within the mixed numbers don't have same denominators. So that's something that I will take care of first. I will create same denominators. So make same denominators. And we do it same way as we always do it for the fractions. If I have 3 over 4 and 2 over 5, then what will be the LCD, the least common denominator? Well, it should be 20, right? 20 is the smallest number that I can divide by 4 and 5. So that means that I want 7 and something over 20 plus 5 and something over 20. So the question is what to put in the numerator. Well, to change denominator 4 to 20, I have to multiply it by 5, right? 4 times 5 gives me 20. Well, that means that the numerator also has to be multiplied by 5. So that gives me a new numerator. 3 times 5 is 15, so that's what the equivalent fraction is. Now let's try it for the second one. I had denominator 5, now I have denominator 20, or I want denominator 20. To make 20 out of 5, I have to multiply 5 by 4. If I'm multiplying by 4 on the bottom, I have to multiply by 4 on the top as well. So that tells me what the numerator should be. It should be 8. Now, once denominators are the same, I can perform addition. So I will align those numbers or mixed numbers vertically. I will add fractions. 15 over 20 plus 8 over 20, that's 23 over 20. And then 7 plus 5, that's 12. Okay, is this the final answer? Not yet, right? Because this is an improper fraction. We have to change it to a proper fraction. To do that, I'm going to separate 12. I'll say 12 plus, and then plus what? What is that number as a mixed number? What is that fraction as the mixed number? 23 over 20. I have to divide 23 by 20. So 20 goes one time into 23. And then the remainder will be 3. So it's 1 and 3 over 20. Right? That's how this improper fraction gets converted to a mixed number. And now it's putting everything back together. 12 plus 1 is 13. And 3 over 20. I will double check at the end if I can simplify this fraction. I don't think I can, which means that this is the final answer.